Welcome to the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. This episode is brought to you by Authors Unite. Authors Unite makes the process of becoming a published best-selling author as simple as sipping your morning cup of coffee. You can learn more about Authors Unite at authorsunite.com. Now, let's jump into the episode. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. Today I have Sangram Vajre with us. He is the author of the book, Account-Based Marketing for Dummies, chief evangelist and co-founder of Terminus, and founder and host of the daily Flip My Funnel podcast, dedicated to helping B2B marketing, sales, and customer success professionals become masters of their craft. So welcome to the show, man.
I appreciate it, Tyler. Excited.
Of course. Excited to have you here. We'll dive right into the first one. The first question I have for you is, what is the best story from your life that has an underlying valuable message?
All right. So I'll try to make this a quick one. I was on a flight from San Francisco to Atlanta, sitting in a middle seat. And those of you who know, it's like a 5-hour flight. So the middle seat is not fun, back very close to the bathrooms. And then the two people right next to me somehow were extremely drunk. So it wasn't a fun flight. But on that flight, the internet wasn't working either. And I had a piece of napkin and a pen. And I drew the traditional funnel and then flipped it on its head. That led to this whole idea of Flip My Funnel that had turned into a movement with 10,000 people, kind of part of the community, as well as 100,000 plus people subscribing to the podcast that we do daily. So I guess the underlying theme there is that you never know where your best idea is going to come. So wherever it comes, just take hold of it and just go for it.
Yes, man. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I'm excited for your answer on this one. What is the most valuable piece of information we should know that's within your expertise or industry?
Authenticity wins. I think this is something that I've been talking and sharing a lot lately, is because a lot of people think about this as a buzzword, but there are countless examples around us where the most amazing people, the most admired people, the best sales people who are breaking quota, or marketers who are doing amazing thing, or entrepreneurs crushing it, they're all, at the end of the day, more or less very much authentic. And you can see that in the long run, that's what pays off. Everybody may have short wins, but long-term wins really comes from being authentic all the way.
And I'm sure that could tie into my next question is, what is your best piece of overall business advice? So not necessarily industry specific.
Sure. I think, for me, it has always been focusing on the problem that you are set out to solve as opposed to the product. I feel like a lot of people very quickly start focusing so much on the product that becomes their life, and then they get so invested in the product that they forget why they even started working on the problem. So if you look at the best and the biggest company like Salesforce and HubSpot and others, they're all fixated on the problem. And that allows you to have the flexibility to pivot on the product because you're so clear on the problem that you want to solve.
And if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
I would say be fearless and fail fast. I've been very afraid for the majority of my life. As a matter of fact, I started Terminus when I was 37. So I could have probably done another startup way before, but I was always afraid, and there were always excuses, and there was always safety nets. And the day I broke down all the safety nets, I'm like, it's okay. Even if I'm married, have mortgage, and have 2 kids and all that stuff, I'm not going to let that be the reason that's stopping me. I will let that be the reason that inspires me. So that single thing changed everything for me. So if I could go back, and I'll just say, I wish I would be more fearless and be not afraid to fail so much earlier in my life.
And in your opinion, what is the key to happiness?
I don't know if that's the right question, Tyler, because
okay.
I think, because I don't expect myself to be happy all the time. I don't know many people who are always happy. They may be smiling, but they're not happy. And I don't know if the pursuit of happiness is what I see as the best thing. I feel like the pursuit of fulfillment is where I like to spend my time. So, for example, if all day I'm going to work and on things that I need to work on, I'm going to give my best shot, and I'm going to spend the best time that I can with my family. I'm going to try to be the best husband and my parent for my kids, and that will be fulfilling for me. I don't know if that's happiness, because some days suck and I'm not happy about it, but I'm fulfilled because I put an honest day's worth of work, and I think that's what I try to focus on.
Yes, I like that answer. Thank you. And what is the best book that you've read, and what was the number one thing you learned from that?
I love reading books, and I've read a ton of books over a period of time. But I'm a new to faith, and in the last 3 years, I've picked up the Holy Bible, and I've never. It almost feels like every single thing that I could have learned in any book, any business leadership book, they all have come from this one book, and one that stands out more than other. I never thought this actually came from anywhere, was about servant leadership. And I feel like I've learned a lot from this. And I feel like if there was only one book, if there were 2, 3, I would give you a lot of other business books. But since it's just one, I don't know if there's a better book than the Bible.
And what is your favorite quote and why?
All right, my favorite quote comes from John Wanamaker. He is someone from the 1800s, so it goes way back. And he said something about marketing, which is really funny and interesting and still true, which is half of the money we spend on marketing works. We just don't know which half. So I think it's still funny because that is true in most organizations even today.
Yes, dude, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. The last question I have for you before we let you go is, where is the best place for people to find and or connect with you online?
I post something daily on LinkedIn, so that's probably the best way. And as you said in the introduction, I run a daily Flip My Funnel podcast that you can find and be connected that way.
Perfect, man. Thanks again for jumping on. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, you.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.